Okay, so I'm going to be speaking about how important emotions are, being aware of them, trying to understand them, and having control over them, basically. So, as an example, I'll be mentioning about how important love is and how it affects every part of our life. Like, if you don't have it when you're a child, like, it should be common knowledge that that's psychologically damaging. And of course, when you're in a relationship where you have like a difficult time connecting with family, as an example, and there isn't a dynamic that is meant to be like reciprocated for positive, reinforcement, like having a good bond and connection with family, and how like it's just not healthy to not have the love that is shown, because some people show it differently, but even then, if it's like constantly negative, like that's not healthy, right? So, especially in a relationship, when you don't have it, it's obvious, right? And you get depressed or you feel insecure, etc. So, I'll be speaking about how, just little things are very, very vital to having a good state of mind that isn't going to constantly be in a repetitive state of negative, right? So, how to break out of that, obviously, is to be aware, but certain people, it's very hard for them to do that. I don't know if it's because of the environment that they grow up in, that they just aren't, trying to train their mind to do that, because once you start, it's like a routine. You want to constantly do it because it's very important to have the awareness of that, right? Like the awareness of anything, because then when you are training your mind to do that, you obviously are, you get into a routine, and it's very healthy because then you can analyze and problem solve and, deal with things appropriately and correctly. Like that's basically what a therapist would tell you. You know, obviously that's for you to decide if you need to go into that, but I just like talking about this stuff because a lot of people don't, want to acknowledge it and don't want to talk about it, and it's like, we're adults, let's act like it. Because everybody deals with things differently, but it's like, if you have said negative emotion in the specific time that shit's going down, I don't know, control yourself, right? Like, if two people are arguing and one of them isn't at the start, okay, eventually you are going to, like, there is going to be an argument and there is going to be fighting of, like, yelling, right? But obviously nobody wants that. Nobody is going to just go out of their way to do that unless they have a fucked up mentality. But apart from that, it's better if each person is being aware of what is spoken, and you can't just use an excuse that even though I'm right, like, it's okay if I be rude, and it's like, no, that's not how it works. So when you are aware of emotions, it's very important, because then you aren't going to constantly attract more negative into your life. So as an example, when you are with family, or you're with friends, or you're just by yourself, right, if you're an introvert, having that sanctuary of good energy, you're going to be able to feel that. You're going to be able to experience it, and you're going to almost get addicted to it. Like, you're going to resonate with each other, or by yourself, right, if that's just what you prefer. Like, just having really good vibes, sometimes putting on a candle or even incense or music, right, will just help a lot with that. And there's nothing wrong with embracing those emotions, because it seems like a lot of people feel like you don't need to do that, or there'll be like a stigma associated with, like, oh, you're such an immature person for wanting to talk about emotions, and it's like, no, emotions are like, they're constant. We're human. It's always going to be either an issue or it's going to be a positive. So why not just, constantly make positive? emotions, like, so you're not in a negative state of mind, because that will affect every part of your life, right? Like, everybody should know that, especially if you don't like doing something, like going to a job that you don't like. Why are you doing that to yourself? It puts a huge toll on you mentally, and you aren't, like, some people aren't even aware of that. It takes a deep toll on your subconscious, because then it's like all you want to do is complain or whatever, right? So why not just get out of that, control your life, because obviously you can, right? You have to take control where you are able to, because you are human. Like, that's what we want. When we don't have control over something, of course we're going to get anxiety, or of course we're going to worry, right? So it's important that we're cautious of those things, because, that's what spirituality basically is. It's like you're constantly creating positive energy, because that's what we want. That's what we want to be our life, because that's what, what we think of like a quote-unquote utopia would be, or just fulfilling our goals. It has to be a positive, because, like, when we dream about certain stuff, it's always a positive, even if there are like opinions about negative. Like, it could be, from an outer perspective, it could be a huge negative, but for that person, right, it could be an entire positive thing for them, because we're always trying to seek out what is positive. That's human nature, right? So why not just create positive where we have the ability to? So, like, doing little small things during the day, or like every now and then, like either exercising, if people like that, yoga, some people like that, listening to music every now and then, watching YouTube or watching a show, whatever makes you happy, writing or doing makeup, right? For everybody, it's obviously different. But, that is what the positivity comes from, because when you start to do something so small and you want to keep doing it because it helps you, obviously, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And it's very important to be cautious of and just aware of everything, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, especially with reading psychology books, right? That's very important, because it's something that we strive to do. We want to learn more every now and then. We want to talk about stuff that we are really passionate about, because that's, obviously very positive. So it's very important to have stuff that we like talking about. Which is another thing, that, like, certain people have really bad social skills, and they'll talk to you and be like, hey, I want to talk because I'm bored. And I'm like, why? Like, you're a grown man, or like you're a grown woman. Like, do something that is happy, right? Do something that you enjoy, obviously, right? Because, like, yeah, we get bored every now and then. Okay, but keep yourself stimulated, that's how you're gonna feel better. Like, obviously, if we need to eat something, okay, do that. Like, just small ass shit, watching stuff that's funny. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course not. So do it, just stop procrastinating, because that's also a factor of depression, and that is a huge thing that everybody will experience every now and then, where you want to do something, but you aren't bringing yourself to do it because you're thinking too much. You're second guessing yourself, or you have anxiety about some specific thing, and you're just like, well, I don't know if I should do that, so therefore I'm gonna procrastinate. And it's like, that's not helping the situation, obviously. You have to put yourself in that state of mind, which is the daily struggle, right? So especially when you're dealing with depression, that's very important to just stay cautious of everything, because otherwise, if you aren't, it will become worse and worse and worse and worse, because that's why people say you need to get help, talking to a friend, as an example, if you don't want to go to a therapist or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that, because even if you're just venting, that means you're just letting it go a little bit. You're releasing a little bit of that negativity slowly and slowly and slowly, because when you think about it, right, after a while, you're gonna analyze it, and you're gonna be like, okay, how do I prevent myself from feeling this or doing this, right? Because obviously there's so many reasons as to why we are insecure or why we're depressed about something, And, for some people it can be a huge issue as to, like, either they're holding on to something from the past, or they're feeling a lot of resentment towards something, right? Or someone, but hopefully it's a thing. And they're holding on to all that negativity, and they aren't wanting to release that, just like let it go slowly and slowly and slowly, so that it's easier to become a little bit more positive. Because that's what you want to do, is just to find all the things that are trying to weigh you down, and then build yourself back up slowly, because that's all that you can do. And so why hold yourself off to that and affect other people? Like, that's not healthy, and that's not right at all. So it's important to just be very aware as best you can, which, of course, as a huge example, is meditation. So when you are in a area where you're able to just try and clear your mind, that's what you want to achieve. And for certain people, that can be very hard. But if you have music, or if you have a candle or incense or whatever by you, that will become a little bit easier for you to just relax, because like aromatherapy or something like that, that will help. Or like I said, music or something, just doing something that will relax you, because for some people, it's very hard to clear their mind. So whatever it is that will help is very important, like staring at your fucking cat for a minute or two, that might help, just like dozing off for a second, but with your eyes open, like, so, like, as you keep doing it, it will become easier, and it will help, when you don't even realize it, because it will, affect your subconscious, and then eventually, as you try to train your mind to be more aware, it will become easier. So, as an example of love, when you are doing something that you enjoy, that is the start of that positivity, right? Because that's where it stems from. Doing something that you love doing, like writing or reading or whatever it is. That is very important to just get into a routine of that. Because then you will want to embrace that emotion more. And obviously, the lack thereof is obviously very detrimental to, like wanting to sit into the negative emotions and just let that wear you down, right? Sometimes it's hard to get out of that, but like I'm saying is, when you are aware of certain stuff, yeah, obviously we all have our downs, okay? But when you are thinking consciously, it's very easy to think about what the problem is and sometimes how you could fix it. So love is everything, and everything is connected. Energy, right? That's spirituality, everything. Like, if you don't want to go into that area, okay, well then just think about things as best you can so that you can understand them, and then you can help yourself. That's basically what it is, with anything. And so the feeling of love, like any little bit of like a situation where it's happy for us, we will get addicted to that, right? And that is obviously the serotonin and whatever the fuck you want to say, like, but it's the emotion that is there that we want to constantly have. And so when we feel it certain times, either we feel a lot of it, or we feel like a little bit slowly, because maybe we aren't comfortable or whatever it is, but that is what we strive for. So, like, you should do small little things that will help you be in that moment so that you can feel a little bit happier. And of course, introverts, we always know how to do that, because we train our minds from when we're little of wanting to stay by ourselves and wanting to do things that we already enjoy. And then, so we already know what we want to do, and, we try to make the best of it, of like either making a career out of it, whatever. So that's basically what I wanted to say. I think there's a lot more that I wanted to say, I just can't think of it right now. Yeah, like, I don't know. I just don't want to ramble. So, oh, there was the thought about, so if somebody is holding on to a lot of negativity, either from the past or one specific thing, like say they think about a song and it reminds them of somebody and it's negative, okay, so that's pretty stupid in my opinion, no offense, because when you're constantly trying to let somebody or something bring you down in a certain moment, like, it's music, like what music is meant to resonate with you. It's meant to, like, feel like you're uplifting in that moment, right? Because music is always, like, a beautiful thing. So why would you hold something negative associated with it? At least let it help you feel better, right? Because that's what spirituality is. There's always a gray area. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a fucking silver lining to anything. And that is what I mean by when you're able to fucking analyze things and figure them out yourself, that is what we do. It's a conscious thing of trying to feel better. Yeah, that's obviously a constant struggle, but that's the important part of wanting to deal with that, confront it, and then solve it, right? So that we aren't constantly in the fucking cycle of negativity, and we aren't constantly trying to hurt somebody else, or we aren't trying to bring ourselves down. Because who the hell wants to stay in a constant cycle of depression? Like, that's not how life is, and that's not obviously what we want. I doubt anybody wakes up in the day like, oh yeah, I'm going to be depressed today. Like, no, obviously not. You wake up depressed, or you wake up a little bit happier, right, every now and then something will bring you down because you aren't feeling motivated, right? And you need to feel motivated, and, like, from yourself. It's within you. Yeah, that might be hard, but if you're doing something that's fucking happy, you will feel motivated, right? Like cleaning or doing whatever the fuck that makes you happy, like going for a drive or something, listening to music. It's very important, and it's important to realize that, because then you can get yourself out of certain situations. That's all that it is, just training your mind, being aware. That's all that it is. And that's basically what life is, just trying to think of bringing positivity into your life so that you aren't, and also just thinking for yourself, right? Like, don't listen to people that are telling you what to do. Don't listen to people that are trying to control your life, right? Because we are our own people, and we should be allowed to have our control over what is going to make us happy, what is going to, like, being conscious of the things that are negative, right? And avoiding that. There's nothing wrong with avoiding it, because it means that you're trying to be in the same state of either indifference or just happiness. There's nothing wrong with that. Do things by yourself if you need to, like, just figure it out and it will be a-okay. And it's very important in the long run. So, that's all that I wanted to say, and I hope that helps, and I hope that makes sense. So, and I hope that I did a better job this time, I didn't want to ramble. So, thank you, and take care and stay safe.